All right, so last time we talked about hardware and software, kind of like the body and the brain of our tech. But what good is a brain if it can't communicate with anything? Today, we're diving into that crucial third piece, the connection. Let's really break down how your phone actually talks to the rest of the world.
When we think about the internet, our minds usually jump to these really abstract ideas. We talk about the cloud, and it just sounds so ethereal, doesn't it? Like our data is just floating around up in the sky somewhere, all weightless and magical. It's a nice idea, but it hides a reality that's way more interesting.
Because the truth is, it's not magic at all. It's infrastructure. The internet is super, super physical. We're talking millions of miles of fiber optic cables, some as thick as a fire hose, running under our oceans to connect entire continents. And it's these massive air-conditioned buildings called data centers, just packed with blinking servers in places like Virginia or Singapore. So when you save a photo to the cloud, all you're really doing is saving it to a physical hard drive in one of those giant warehouses.
Okay, so to understand how information gets around this massive physical network, you really only need to meet the two main characters in this whole story. Every single interaction you have online, every single one, is just a conversation between a client and a server. And their relationship, it's actually super simple. You've got the client, that's your phone, your laptop, whatever, and its only job is to ask questions. Then you've got the server, that's one of those powerful computers in a data center, and its only job is to provide the answers. The best way to think about it is this. The server is like a librarian with access to all the world's information, and your phone is just walking up and asking for a specific book. And get this, every single thing you do online follows this exact three-step dance. You tap a button to log in. That's a request. Your phone is sending a little digital letter. The server gets that letter and does the work to check your password. That's the processing. And then finally, it sends back the confirmation that lets you into your account. That's the response. Every single time.
Okay, now if you're a product manager or really anyone trying to build things for the web, this next idea, it's the single most important mental model you can possibly have. Seriously, I want you to forget the whole idea of the cloud. From now on, start thinking of the internet as a giant, incredibly fast postal system. Let's break this down. It's kind of like a Rosetta Stone for the internet. Your app on your phone, that's the sender, mailing a letter. The server, that's the receiver waiting for the mail. The internet itself, well, that's just all the roads and trucks that connect them. And this makes complicated ideas like latency or slowness really easy to get. It's just a traffic jam. Your digital letter is stuck because the network is congested. See? It's not some weird tech voodoo, it's just logistics. And this is where it gets really important for you. As a product person, you don't build the roads and you don't drive the trucks. Your job is all about designing what the user sees and feels in that gap while that delivery truck is on the road. Because delays and failures, they're a physical certainty, and how you handle them is what defines your product. So that leads to the first huge question you have to answer. The user has tapped a button, the request has been sent out, and now they're waiting. It might only be a second or two, but in app time, that's an eternity. So what do you show them in that moment? You could just throw up that boring old spinning loading circle. We've all seen it a million times. And it just feels slow, right? It makes you wonder if something's broken. Or you could use what's called a skeleton screen. You've seen these too, those gray placeholder boxes that kind of outline where the content is about to pop in. It's such a clever psychological trick. It improves what we call perceived performance. The app feels faster because you can see the page building itself, and that is a product design choice, not just some technical detail. All right, so what about the next challenge? Sometimes that postal truck doesn't just get stuck in traffic, sometimes it crashes. The user's Wi-Fi drops, a server goes down, the connection is just broken. What does the user see now? If you don't plan for this, the app might just crash, or you'll get one of those cryptic error 404 messages. It's awful. But a great product manager designs for what we call the unhappy path. They ask smarter questions. Instead of just showing an error, can we show the data we saved or cached from the last time they were online? Or at the very least, can we show a friendly, helpful message that explains the problem? Your job is to define that graceful fallback experience. And this all leads to a third, really critical decision that's shaped by the internet's physical reality. You have to ask yourself, does this specific piece of information truly need to be real-time? Does it have to be up to the millisecond fresh? Because think about it.
Sending that postal truck back and forth over and over again costs time and energy, and it can slow the whole system down.
And this is where you see that trade-off in action. If you're building a stock trading app, yeah, freshness is pretty much everything. You can't be seconds behind, that's a disaster. But what about a like counter on a social media post? Does that really need to be accurate to the millisecond? Nah, probably not. By sacrificing just a tiny bit of freshness there, you can make the whole app feel way faster and more responsive. And that's a core product decision you have to make.
So what does all of this really mean? The big takeaway is this. These technology constraints, they aren't just annoying technical problems. They're actually the secret ingredient that forces you to make great product decisions. And the first step is just understanding the physical reality of how all this stuff works. You know, there's a quote that just nails this whole idea. If you ignore the physical reality of the internet, if you pretend it's just magic, your users are going to feel it. You're going to build a frustrating product. But if you acknowledge these physical limits and you design for them thoughtfully, you build something that feels solid. You build trust. Okay, so now you get it. You understand the journey of this signal, that request and response zipping across the world. But what actually happens when that response gets back to your phone? What happens inside the app itself to make everything appear on your screen? Well, in our next explainer, we are going to decode the difference between the front end and the back end. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it.
If this video helped, you might want to subscribe. Click the bell icon to get notified when the next one drops so you don't miss it.